Welcome back, class. Mr. Rasmussen here. This is lesson 8A, and in lesson 8A we're going to just take a look at this idea of chromosomes and just get some general understanding of what chromosomes are, what they look like, what they do. Up here in the top left corner, right up here, we can see some pictures of chromosomes up here. These aren't actual chromosomes, but these are just some ideas of what chromosomes look like, and these chromosomes up here we would call replicated chromosomes. They contain, they look like an X-type structure, so they sort of look like an X. They're connected here by this spot in the middle called the centromere, but they have that X-like structure, so this would be a replicated chromosome. Down here we see a picture of a cell dividing, and right here stained blue, this is actually a scanning electron micrograph image, and down here stained blue, these regions down here are the chromosomes. So these chromosomes exist in cells, they contain the DNA for the cells, and they have a big part in cellular reproduction, and which we're going to talk about next, is cellular reproduction. I want us to get a good understanding of what these chromosomes look like, how they function, and some terminology that goes along with it. So if we talk about this idea of chromatin versus chromosome, down here in this picture, I just want to show you the structure of a chromosome. So we start off down here with DNA. Okay? That DNA becomes wound around these proteins called histones. So we take DNA and we wind it around proteins called histones, and we end up with something like this. Here's our DNA here, and it's wound around these histones. Then what happens is these whole histones, they become wound up together. So each of these little purple dots over here is a histone, and here's the DNA that's wound up. And you can see they're all sort of bunched up together, like here's a histone, here's a histone. And they all get wound up together and they form this cord. This cord here starts to become wound and bunched up here. And it starts winding and bunched up, and it forms another cord here. This time, when we get this cord, this is called chromatin. So this wound up cord is called chromatin. It's not a chromosome. It's not condensed far enough to become a chromosome yet. But this wound up cord type form is called chromatin. And then as this chromatin condenses down and bunches up together, it forms the chromosome. So if we see here, here's just one structure of a chromosome. It looks like this. Here, if we were to blow it up, it would look like this. But this is just really this cord here, and this cord is the chromatin. So chromatin is uncoiled chromosomes. Chromatin is uncoiled chromosomes. Most of the time, DNA exists in the form of chromatin. Very rarely does DNA condense down into the form of chromosomes, and that's only during one stage of the cell life cycle called mitosis. Only when that cell wants to divide does it condense down into chromosomes, but otherwise, that DNA is always sort of found in this chromatin form here. If we take a look at the chromosome structure, so what a chromosome looks like, this is a replicated chromosome. So it contains this region in the middle here called the centromere. And then it contains these little things coming off of them called chromatids. And when we have a replicated chromosome and they have these two chromatids up here, these are what we call sister chromatids. Sister. So these are sister chromatids here, and this would be the centromere, and that's the basic structure of a chromosome, fairly simple. These chromosomes are found in homologous pairs. The word homologous means same. So they're found in pairs that are the same, and they contain the same genetic information. So if this blue chromosome contained a gene right here, and a gene is just one location on a chromosome, so if this homologous pair contained a gene right there, this one would contain the same gene on the same location. Same gene on the same location. So a homologous pair is Identical chromosomes. They may contain different forms of a gene, but they'll contain the same gene at the same location. If we look at a karyotype is just all the pictures of chromosomes in one individual. So if I were to take a picture of all my chromosomes, we would get a karyotype. And here's a karyotype. And we can see that each of my 23 pairs of chromosomes, so this would be set number 23 down here. So we have 23 pairs. So each of my 23 pairs contains 2 chromosomes. So the human chromosome number is 23 pairs for a total of 46 chromosomes. But each chromosome has an identical pair. There is one exception down here, and these are what we call our sex chromosomes, the X and the Y chromosomes. They're called all the other ones, 1 through 22, are called autosomes, but these are our sex chromosomes. But we have essentially 22 identical pairs of chromosomes, and those are our homologous pairs. Cells that have homologous pairs are what we call diploid. So cells that contain homologous pairs, we call those diploid. If we look down here, you can see how there's 2 copies of each of these chromosomes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's a diploid cell. And we give that 2n. And that just means 2 times the number of chromosomes. So if there's 23 numbers of chromosomes, there would be a total of 46 chromosomes in that cell. Haploid cells only have 1n, or 1 times the number, and they're missing their homologous pairs. So they only contain 1 of each number. So this would be chromosome number 1, number 2, number 3, but they don't have those homologous pairs. That's what we call a haploid cell. Haploid cells in the human body are only found in one place. We only have haploid cells in one location, and those are our egg and sperm cells down here. So down here, haploid cells, all we have are egg and sperm cells. That's it. Those are the only cells in the human body that are haploid. Diploid cells, all of the other cells in our body are diploid. For instance, a good example would be skin cells. Our skin cells, they're diploid. Our brain cells, they're diploid. Our muscle cells are diploid. Everything else in our body is 2n, but our sex cells, our gametes are haploid. They're 1n. So make sure you understand these concepts of homologous pairs, diploid, haploid, and the structure of a chromosome. That's going to be very important to us. If you have any questions, class, please feel free to ask me as soon as possible, and I'll help you out. Thanks. Have a good day.